Hey everyone, Monarch here, and seeing how it has been quite a few days since the Magnamalo version of the demo came out, I think enough time has cooled down since then to discuss and talk about the demo and my experience with it. Now, my original plan for all of this was to upload raw gameplay of the winning Magnamalo hunt. After all, you guys did vote on my community page to have more raw gameplay with the Rise series of videos, and I wanted to do that. But what I didn't factor, however, was that Magnamalo would be one of the hardest, or at least demo Magnamalo, would be one of the toughest modern monsters I have faced yet, and has just owned so many people, even veterans. That certainly was not expected within my parameters. I spent an entire stream trying to do him, and I got close, but never was able to do it. So then I just decided to, oh hey, do it off camera and eventually just kill him, but also record that footage. But then that came into the problem of like, well shit, this doesn't have any of my commentary in it, or audio, so what do I do? But then while I was hunting, I was like, you know, I have some things to talk about with this demo, so why not a bit of both? So here it is. Here is both my winning run against Demo Magnamalo, as well as my impressions about the demo overall, Magnamalo as a monster, and some little things I want to talk about. So yeah, let's get started with this. I guess first things first, starting with the main attraction, let's talk about Magnamalo, and what do I think of him? Very fun monster. He was one of the few monsters that I was looking forward to the most when Rise was still announcing all of their new monsters. Magnamalo was by far the one I was looking forward to the most, the others being Raknakadaki and Almudron. And Magnamalo certainly lived up to its hype, to say the least. Very challenging, fun monster. The moveset is very cool and diverse with all the different modes he can go into with his Hellfire. He has a lot of cool attacks. I love the inclusion of more frontier aspects into the main series, but outside of the beetles being straight up the Frontier Awakening mechanic, Magnamalo has a combo with his mouth charged up in Hellfire, where he does basically an Abio or Gyao, where they attack you and then throw you into a combo with Magna throwing you up into the air and then exploding you with Hellfire. Unlike Frontier, however, you can evade out of it with Wire Fall if you have a Wire Bug left over. But that definitely amazed me, and I was gleeful when I found out and got hit by that attack. I was even mad. I was just...
eventually, but yeah, I know if we'll be playing this. I'll try and play it tomorrow.
What the hell is that? That's a Frontier combo! I think that was the first time I saw that! What?!
Yeah, that was his mouth.
What?!
His mouth was fiery, that's the thing he can do. He can do a Frontier combo. But no, yeah, that's totally a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, he can do that.
That's a Frontier combo of his. He actually has a Frontier combo!
Thing where he launches you and then he can like hit you with an explosion from the mouth.
I'm just happy with more Frontier making it over, and I hope that this is a sign that, you know, more Frontier can make it over to the main series, maybe even some monsters in due time. I love Magnamalo's home motif and design, the undead samurai general, the will-o-wisps with the hellfire, the purple, the very menacing and feral design. It's dangerous, it's sharp, and just the whole aesthetic of, like, an entire army and their weaponry being personified into a living monster like Magnamalo. Like, when he's all puffed out in his ultra state, whew, that just looks amazing. Some people might call it over-designed or whatever, but I think it fits with Magnamalo's home motif, and it really works well with him. And yeah, no, Magnamalo is a very tough monster, Demo Magnamalo at least, because he is amped up for the demo, and considering the demo's restraints, he is, of course, going to be much harder in the demo. But he's a very challenging fight with plenty of moves to watch out for, with a lot of his attacks taking you down to half health, if not death, depending on spear birds and all that. And he's just very overall aggressive. One of the hardest things I had with the fight and learning Magnamalo was just figuring out an opening to sharpen, because I would find often that I need to sharpen quite a bit. The problem was Magnamalo is a very aggressive monster, and if I mess up on, say, my sharpening time, that just can instantly kill me right then and there. So I had to figure out and look for specifically the attacks that are generally very dangerous, like some of his most dangerous, but as a result leave him wide open and stunned for a bit after with his animation, so that way I can fully sharpen before he begins moving in. Alternatively, you could just ride on the dog, because you can sharpen on the dog, and that is a very powerful thing you can do, assuming your dog isn't stunned or knocked out of the fight temporarily. And the general flow of him was just very nice. After learning, of course, the fight with Longsword, it felt very natural, and moving between the arms and his tails and dodging between his stabs and the pounces and the charges, and even the will-o-wisp shots, and then redirecting all of that with the Longsword's moves and hitting him full force. It's really cool. That being said, I am kind of disappointed in Hellfire. It's not that big of a deal. If anything, it is what Tar and Boned was to Webbed. It is that equivalent to Blast Blight. It is basically Blast Blight in all but name, and with one minor difference. That being, if you use a wire bug dodge while you have Hellfire on, it actually leaves behind this little mine on the field, and if Magnamalo runs into it, he can actually get hurt by it for about 50 points of damage plus, potentially more. And first time this happens, it will be a guaranteed knockdown, and you may be able to knock him down if he hits more of them, but he definitely builds up a tolerance, and the damage definitely helps. Aside from that one small factor, it is basically Blast Blight in all but name, and I'm kind of disappointed, not gonna lie. It's not bad per se, it works, it's cool with a difference, but I think there could have been a bit more done with Hellfire. I don't know, maybe make it a bit more devious. I wouldn't mind making it slightly asshole-ish, like borrow a bit of Frontier with, like, say, Corrupted Poison. Maybe not that bad, but do something else with it aside from just making it Blast Blight. And while on the topic of Magnamalo, if there is one absolute awful thing I have to say, if there is one thing that detracts from the overall fight, it would be his hitboxes. Magnamalo has... I don't know how to describe this, because compared to other people, I was very cautious, and I didn't encounter many atrocious hitboxes, but those that I did, oh god, were they bad. And they were very Freedom Unite in how they worked. There are already plenty of hitbox complaints with, like, Mizu and Rathian. Mizu I understand, but Rathian I haven't seen much of personally. But Magnamalo is definitely the worst of the bunch in terms of overall hitboxes. Like, oh hey, he does a tail stab, it affects his whole body. Or tail stab hits you from the air. The crossbear tail has some width to it when it stabs forward. And just general things like that. I'm gonna be honest, that kind of has me worried. Because... this is a monster game in 2021, we are talking, on the Nintendo Switch, on the RE engine. The RE engine. The same game working with Devil May Cry 5 and Resident Evil 7, RE2 Remake, RE3 Remake, and RE8. This is a very powerful engine, and it's pushing the Switch to its limits. And yet, we are having hitboxes on the level of Plesioth and other monsters from a game that came out in 2008 on the PSP. That is a 13-year gap, or about 13th year, if not 12-year gap in a couple of months, but even then, that's unexcusable. The fact that we're having hitboxes this bad, this far into the franchise's lifespan, and after World and Iceborne, which overall tightened up the hitboxes on so many monsters that there are barely any problems, I'd say, outside of like a few instances. It's really disorienting and bumming to have hitboxes this bad. And this is the flagship monster, no less. This is the de facto monster of the entire game, the emblem of the game, the main impression and standout of the entire product. And if he has hitboxes this bad, it'll like Rathian and Mizu also have some terrible hitboxes, especially with like Mizu's slam. What the hell is the game gonna be like? That has me worried. Not gonna lie. The demo could just be, for all I know, an earlier build. We could be playing through an earlier build, and I have to stress that this is all demo impressions. And that the game could be different, but even then, this is a slight caution that I'm not so optimistic about. Because I don't like the idea of veering off into the days of Freemanite hitboxes. I don't want those kind of hitboxes in a modern game like this. It feels bullshit. Especially considering the damage Magnamalo does and the one-shot potential he has. It's kind of like a ripoff, just getting hit by an absolutely awful hitbox and dying from it. It's cheap, it's poor coding and game design. And it's like, the thing is, I don't even know if these hitboxes are intentional, because they do have to factor in for the increased elevation and height that hunters can gain in this game, and they did say that monsters will be able to deal with it or have solutions to it. But I don't think solutions to height should come at the caveat of hitboxes like this. It's not balanced. That's unfair. It's in fact dissuading me from doing some cool wire bug tricks because, oh hey, I can just get anti-aired like this. I don't care if that's the official excuse. That's poor design on their parts. And while on the topic of poor design, it's time for me to get into the actual demo itself, and more specifically, the Magnamalo hunt and my complaints with it. Because here's the thing, Magnamalo is a fun-ass monster, he's a great monster, but the constraints of the demo hunt make it so much worse. 15 minutes. 15 minutes to deal with a monster that has a generous amount of health and can practically kill you in a couple of hits. Maybe even one hit depending on the attack. Demo Magnamalo is by far the toughest of all the demo flagships I have fought, which include Nurg, Velkhana, and now Magnamalo. Out of those three, he is the hardest out of the bunch, and that's just generally because of Magnamalo, the demo constraints, his damage, but also because of the game design. So because it's 15 minutes, you have to very much rush it. You have to understand his moveset, play to perfection, and master it. And that's all fine by me. That I'm fine with. What I'm not fine with, on the other hand, is everything else concerning endemic life, the monsters in the map, wyvern riding, and all of it. A whole new focus with Rise is that you're supposed to learn your environments. You have to know them inside and out, know endemic life locations, monsters and their habitats, and you're supposed to use it to your advantage to gain vantage points and to also collect much needed tools on your hunt. And in an environment like the past two, like the other two demo hunts, where you have the maximum time limit, where you can take your time planning out and traversing the level and figuring out routes and endemic life to collect and then hunting the monster, that's all fine by me. That works. But in a environment where I only have 15 minutes to hunt this monster, where I practically need to rush it, it doesn't work out. It's like two conflicting mindsets, two opposing viewpoints that end up clashing. You have the mindset of Rise as a product, as a game, with the environments, the size of them, the endemic life and how they work, the beetles, the puppet spiders, all that, with their whole take it slow, plan it out methodology. And then you have the Magnamalo demo, where 15 minutes, go, 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 deal as much damage as possible, deal this monster and this quest to perfection. They end up clashing with one another to the point that it almost feels contradictory in a way. So for instance, like, I have a general route I walk on this quest, and depending on the monster positions, because the whole thing is that I have to adapt my strategy and plan depending on the monsters, their starting positions, where Mizu and Raffian are, as well as the endemic life I get. So I'm spending that entire time walking around this route, gathering the spirit birds, the puppet spiders, luring Mizu over to 10, and all of that. And as a result, I have wasted about 2 to 3 minutes on the clock, and I now have about 12 to 13 minutes left. That's not a lot of time considering the rest of the demo, the hunt, and just Magnamalo in general. It barely gives you enough time. And dying in Magnamalo's demo hunt might as well be a death sentence, because on top of the entirety of planning, you also have this gigantic ass map to run your ass through. Sure, you have the wire bugs to dash around with, and you have the dog to ride around with. They are your fastest forms of transportation. But even then, it can take a solid 30 seconds to a minute, depending on where Magnamalo is in the map, to get back to the hunt. That's a lot of time being wasted in the hunt because of one death. And if you have 2 deaths in a hunt, and if you haven't even reached his ultra charge state, if you haven't even reached 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes, you might as well quit the quest. You might as well quit the quest right then and there, because it's not going to happen. The winning run I did, I had to play to perfection. I had to literally not die, and I only died at the very end. But even with dying at the very end, I only had about 38 seconds left before the quest ended. The time limit is so fucking tight, and because it's like, if you do take up a route and find all the monsters or endemic life, and if you gather everything you can and take the time buffing up, you're going to be at a better advantage, but then you've wasted those beginning few moments of the hunt, so now you basically have to play the rest of the hunt to perfection in order to hold up those first few minutes of prep gathering. Or alternatively, you don't bother gathering anything else and have that whole 14 to 15 minutes, but know that because you didn't gather those fucking spirit birds to boost your maximum health, your stamina, your attack and defense, or everything else, that you're basically gonna die in one hit. It's a situation of, I'm screwed if I do this methodology, screwed if I don't. And it's not fun. It's not fun having to retry the same quest over and over again to get the proper Magnamalo starting position, the proper starting positions with all the other monsters, to have to run through the same route over and over again, get the same endemic life over and over again, in order to hopefully have this run be the run. I'm fine. I'm used to having to perfect a hunt and monster to perfection or mastery in order to overcome it. I love Elatrion. I love Elatrion, and he does that. But my issue comes with the conflicting methodology of the demo hunt and the game as a whole. That's what I have an issue with. I'm now having to worry about not dying at all throughout the entire hunt, using all these items and endemic life in the right chain of events, and more importantly, having the proper starting positions on all the monsters. It's just everything else that's working against me, and it overall, in combination with Magnamalo as a monster with his attacks, his damage, and his hitboxes, it can make the experience frustrating. I'm not gonna lie, it can be very maddening to go through it over and over again, which sucks, because Magnamalo is a very fun monster outside of his hitboxes. It's just that it's the demo environment which really puts a damper on it. I didn't even have this much of a trouble with Nurg and Velkhana, because with those monsters, I just had to have perfected them. I didn't have to worry about all these other factors, like the map and the endemic life and all that. Again, this is a demo, so who knows how it does in game, and that's what I also have to worry about. Will it be better? Because of, hopefully, not as many constricting time limits? Will I actually be able to take my time with the hunt and plan out my route and not have to worry about 15 minutes time limits? How will this work with, say, special hunts, like, say, the Rampage quest, or hell, even Elder Dragon arenas? How will that work? How will the emphasis on strategy, or hell, even the reduction on your maximum health and stamina because of the Spirit Birds work in a special Elder arena? Only time will tell, and that has me worried, not gonna lie. And a small little tangent on top of all this with the demo, completing the Magnamalo quest is basically bragging rights. You earn nothing from defeating Magnamalo in the demo. You don't get a commemorative pack like you did with World and Iceborne's demos and their flagship hunts. You don't earn anything. And not gonna lie, that kind of puts a damper on the overall experience and reward. Don't get me wrong, I get satisfaction, I get plenty of satisfaction out of being a monster after so many hours of practice and attempts. I certainly did. But, I don't know. And I want to make this distinction right now on where I stand with Rise, because whenever a new monster game, it's always funny and interesting to see the same two arguments play out over and over again, the same two sides of the same coin every time a new monster game or expansion comes out. You have the one side, which is of, this is the best monster game ever, this will be the best monster game to date, it is a blessing from God himself, from Ichinose-san, from Capcom on high, and you all don't know it yet. Or alternatively, this is going to be the worst monster game yet. Why isn't Rise on the PlayStation? PlayStation is Monster's true home. What is this kid-friendly weep shit? This isn't Monster Hunter. This will be the worst game in the franchise. Look at all this anime shit, even though this is coming from a company and team stationed in Japan, who works in Japan and is a Japan-based company with plenty of Japan and Japanese-based inspirations in terms of a whole setting. What is all this weep shit? You know, that kind of shit. This has played out with every monster game ever since the likes of Tri, I'd say. With that big Nintendo divide and exclusivity. It has happened every game since then, and it is happening again with Rise. And, my position on Rise is that I certainly don't think it's going to be the worst monster game, but I also don't think it's the second coming of Christ, as many people would like to make you think, or as they're making it out to be. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good monster game. There will be plenty of people whining about probably how little content the game has in comparison to Iceborne, because it is a high rank only game. This all stemming from fucking 4U spoiling us rotten because the West only got the Ultimate Expansion and we never got Base 4, so we've been spoiled ever since. And there are probably going to be complaints along those lines, but overall, I just think Rise is going to be a good monster game. I'm hoping that all the worries I have with this demo, with the maps, the endemic life, and just the ideologies and all that, and the hitboxes, will hopefully be for naught. I hope that I have a lot of fun with Rise in the coming months when I get to play it. That it'll be a good time, a good laugh with me and my friends and all that. And I want to wholeheartedly believe that Rise has a bright future ahead of it, considering already DLC 1 with Chameleos as well as other monsters, which is cool. But as of now, those are just my thoughts and my experiences with Magnamalo and the demo as a whole. So yeah, I come out of this asking, what are your guys' thoughts on the Rise demo if you did have a chance to play it? Did you like Magnamalo? What did you like about him and Rise as a whole, with its combat, the weapons, and all that? And also, what are your trepidations with the game? What are the worries you are having when it comes to the product? Whether it be like the hitboxes, the focus with the preparation, or just any other worry you have. I want to know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and generally just kind of create a discussion out of it. You know, just be civil with one another down in the comment section below, and everything will be fine. And with Rise 2 weeks away from us now, the time is nigh upon us. More Rise content will surely be coming to this channel. I will be streaming the game a whole bunch when it comes out on my Twitch. And once again, shameless Twitch plug right now on twitch.tv/lowercase, all one word, MonarchofDragons. It's also in the description below, or on the screen right now. I archive every single one of my streams, so even if you weren't there for the initial stream's debut, the stream will be there permanently, and I will also be uploading all of my hunts and a lot of Rise streams to YouTube in the form of gameplay and all that. So I hope you guys look forward to all of that in the coming weeks and just the general wave of Rise content. And I hope that you guys look forward to the game and have fun with it as well. But yeah, I have been the Monarch of Dragons, and I hope you all have a fantastic day / night wherever you live. Peace.